This is Lynn Fraser with the Killaby Center for Recovery. I'm here with Monica, who is the head of international relations at San Patrignano, and Mark, who has been there for 4 years and is getting ready to come back to the US. And we're going to talk today about their program and what it is that they do there. So I'd like you to both just introduce yourselves. You can say whatever you like, how you got into this, what your personal story is if you like, and we'd love to know more about the program.
My name is Monica, as Lynn already said. I've been working at San Patrignano since 1979, so it's almost 40 years now. And actually, San Patrignano is celebrating in 2018, so this year is 40th anniversary. We have been welcoming 27,000 people, 27,000 people in these 40 years. And we offer them a home, legal and medical assistance, the possibility to continue their study and being reintegrated into society at the end of the process. Professional training is also an essential part of our program because people require to have some life, but also job skill in order to be able to have their place, to find their place in society. That's all.
40 years. That's impressive.
40 years. Yeah.
Wow.
My name is Mark Primo. I'm American, 34 years old. I've been here for 3.5 years, not quite 4. But so I was an addict for about 13 years, and I've had a lot of experience with the various programs and the various responses that we have in North America. And I think that I found the only solution that in the end has worked for me. I mean, this place saved my life. And, I hope I can bring my experience back home to help other people.
What was it about the program that drew you to it in the first place?
Well, I saw that after all the programs that I had done in the United States, the ones that lasted, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, I saw very little change. I mean, on a physical level, I was clean from the drugs, but the problems that existed before, the fundamental problems that I always had in my life were still there. And that caused me to always relapse back into using drugs. And so I was able to go on with life and to, work and go to school for years using various Suboxone or Methadone. But in the end, when I was really ready to start my life, when I finished university and I started working, I realized that I had no foundation to work from. And my life at that point just collapsed. And, my family who always believed in me all through all the torture and all the pain that I put them through, they kept searching for some kind of solution all over the world. My mom read about San Patrignano and saw a place that was long-term, lasted 3 to 4 years.
Residential?
Right.
Drug-free.
Right. And they approach the problem from a lifestyle standpoint. What is it about your life that you can't deal with? What are the real problems? And that's what really appealed to me, because I knew it wasn't just a superficial issue.
So
the problem isn't the kind of drugs or the fact that someone is using drugs, but the person in itself. Because
right.
the void that you have within brings you to use drugs, to use alcohol, to use any kind of substances in order to try to not to feel this emptiness within you, this sense of loneliness, sadness, or all this bad feeling that you feel in yourself. So you need a long time, because long-term addiction requires long-term treatment. Otherwise, it won't work. And that's why in San Patrignano, the program lasts 3 to 4 years.
So can you talk a little bit about what happens when someone comes in? I've read a little bit about it, but what's the basic setup for the first several months? And then after that, what is it like for someone in the program?
Are you asking me?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we focus on the person. So each one that comes to San Patrignano and asks for help is for us a unique individual full of potential that only required to be helped and supported to develop. So people come here and we try to offer them the opportunity not only to stay clean, which is a fundamental part of the program, because only being clean from drugs, you can try to start your new life and the process that will bring you to know yourself, to understand which are your talents and capacity, and to develop that. Otherwise, you will be able only to pass from one substances to the other. So we are not in favor of substitution treatment, because we think that it's only to substitute one addiction with a legal addiction or a different addiction. You need to stay clean when it is possible, of course, because also people require some medication in some occasion, but this is a small percentage according to all the rest that remain totally free of any kind of drugs. They start the process slowly, with small responsibility that at the beginning are referred to yourself. You learn to take care of yourself, to be tidy, to clean your room, to clean the place where you are, to have personal hygiene, and to take care of your basic needs. And we help and support this to provide the basic needs: good food, good sleep, a good environment, fresh air, some sport, anything that can help you to feel physically in good condition. Then in this moment you start the second part of the process, when you start to look around yourself and find out what's wrong with your previous life and what's wrong with you, so that you have to learn how to relate to other people. So in this moment you start to look around you and as I told you, to learn to improve your capacity of relating with other people. One fundamental step, in my opinion, of the program is at the end of the first year or during the second year, when someone starts to take care of another person. Because at the beginning, when you enter, there is someone that takes care of you. It can be called a tutor, a mentor that is with you all time long and help you to overcome the first difficult moments, and also to introduce to the community habit, and to help you and support when you have some difficulties and anxiety and so on. So when you are better, you can start to be yourself a mentor and tutor to the other. So this capacity of not being egoistic any longer, but try to give back what you receive, is a fundamental part of the program, of the recovery process, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So the first year or so, it's primarily focused on healing yourself, and then after that you move into helping someone else.
Exactly.
And then at the end of the second year or around that, you start thinking about your professional life, your future life. So many people do not have any professional qualification, or even did not attend school until the end because they abandoned school because of addiction. So we offer them the possibility or to resume their studies or to start a process of professional qualification, professional training in different fields, many different fields. At that moment, you are ready to choose among the many possibilities you have, the one that better fits you, the better suit you and your future choice. For example, Mark, you can tell your story. You are integrated into the, how do you call it?
The agricultural.
Agriculture.
Yeah.
Greenhouses.
No, I was well, I had gotten my degree in biology, and I was mostly used to working in that environment, or working in cafes or in offices. And when I got here, they put me to work on the farm. So that already was a huge shock.
But it was useful for you.
No, it was great because
to stay in the open air.
It was very humbling for me also. But over time, I saw how rewarding it was because I was literally able to see, the fruits of my labor that I put into it. So the first couple of years during that first period of personal growth that we were talking about, I was there. But then towards the end of that, I went to the head of my sector, my work sector. I said, I've gotten a lot out of being here, my experience here, but I think when I leave, I don't plan on working on a farm. I don't plan on being an agricultural worker. And I proposed working at the hospital, at the medical center here, helping out the doctor who works on research here. And so, yeah, they had me change sectors, and I got back into my field, and it's gotten actually a lot of work experience doing that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's been great.
So
this is exactly what it happens.
Right.
When one is ready to choose, he can change the sector, it can change the training in which he has been integrated in the beginning. And normally, as happened to Mark, it is better at the beginning to do something different, because this way you are not in your how do we say it, in your comfort zone.
Right. Yeah.
You are outside your comfort zone, and this helps you to confront with the other people and not to hide within your capacity and your already known skill. You have the skill, those skills. It is better for you to experience yourself in a totally different area, in order to be able to externalize the problem, the difficulties, and try to understand that you have the capacity to overcome them. Then, after this period, you can go back to your job or choose a different job if this is not your preferred one.
I know I was taken completely out of my comfort zone because I came here without even knowing how to speak Italian.
Yeah.
And so I came here knowing 2 words of Italian, ciao and grazie. So I was helpless. I felt like a child or a baby. I really had to start at the bottom.
But you have an English-speaking mentor.
Yeah, for a couple of months. And then I had to learn Italian right away. So I just start at the very foundation and build piece by piece.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very intense process, but it helped. I mean,
Right.
save my life.
So do most people do some kind of physical work at the beginning, like working on the farm or something like that, outside?
No, not all of them. No.
So how many people actually live in the community? And what kind of businesses are there? And
1,400.
Okay.
There are, I think, 30 different departments, but within them there are more opportunities of vocational training activities. I would say there is the wood carpentry, There is the maintenance department where we have plumber, electricians, carpenter, iron, I do say iron carpentry, and all this area.
Metal workers.
Metal workers and all this area.
Cheese factory.
We have cheese factory,
bakery,
bakery, cured meat, and what else? All the breeding activities with the cows, sheep, but sheep are not here in San Patrignano, are up in the mountain because here it's too cold, too hot for them in summer, so they are a bit far away. And we have also pigs, pigs and cows fundamentally.
Right,
and we have hectares and hectares of vineyards. We produce 600,000 bottles of wine, and we export it all over the world. Then what we have, the graphic art design, where there is the graphic design, there is the print area, there is the plotter, how do we say plotter?
Yeah,
area,
printer, yeah.
Printer, and many vocational trainings are matched with our study center, which means that we have, for example, the school to learn to learn graphic arts.
Right.
So people can attend school class in the morning, and then in the afternoon practice what they learned into each workshops related to the activity. Or we have in Italy, the area in which you can find quite easily job is the area related to food. So we have, as we already said, cheese factory, cured meat, bakery, but also school for to become waiters, sommelier, chefs de cuisine, or what else? All these cheesemaker. They do courses to become cheesemaker. They do courses in all the different areas in order to be able not only to learn the trade, but also to have a certification that can guarantee that they are trained cheesemakers, that they have experience in this area. And so as the unemployment in Italy is quite high, we try to offer the opportunity to find quite surely a job, because it is fundamental for a person getting out from a community, getting out from addiction, to be able to be self-sufficient and economic autonomous.
We also have a hospital that offers vocational training and be a nurse's assistant, dental technician.
Dental assistant also.
Right, dental assistant also.
So part of what you're doing then is feeding and maintaining your own community, and then you sell the products as well.
Yeah.
So how is your place? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry?
I was just going to say, are you funded? Like, do you get funding from anywhere? Or are you completely self-sufficient? Do participants in the program pay anything?
No, the participants do not pay anything. It's totally free of charge for the participant, from the family, and also for the state. We do not receive the monthly fee that normally states gives to the this kind of community organization or recovery center. It is free of charge, totally. We gain our 50% of our needs from our selling our product or services, because we also organize event in our facility. Convention, company convention, dinner, meetings, international conferences. We host them and organize them, and it is an important source of revenue. And we also train people in this area that could be useful for their future. And we reached the 50% of what we need. And then the rest come from donation. we have a fundraising office that in different areas find the rest of the 50% we need.
Oh, wow. So a participant doesn't get paid for their work. That's part of what supports the community, but they don't pay anything to be there.
Exactly.
Right.
And
so
mainly they receive vocational training, so they do not actually work, but they train. Of course, it could be in a normal situation, it could be trained job, and sometimes it is. I mean, some people that remain a bit longer can be paid and have some sort of paid training after the end of the process of recovery.
Oh, I see. Okay. So
Yeah,
do some people live there long term? Is it kind of permanent for some of the residents?
Not permanent, but there are people that remain a bit longer.
Oh, okay.
I would say that there are also people that choose to remain as part of the staff and become part of the staff on a voluntary basis or as employee. And this is a percentage of 1 out of 1,000, I would say.
Oh, okay.
There are also people that remain a bit longer. After the end of the process of recovery, they remain a couple of years or some months or 1 year, and they can work with us if it is of a reciprocal interest. And so they have paid training or paid period of stage with us.
Right.
In different areas, could be we have 2 restaurants, actually 1 restaurant and 1 pizzeria, where people that have studied to become chef or waiters can spend their mandatory practice period, mandatory from school. And then they can also prolong the period and then be paid for a training period within the restaurant.
Right.
And the end can be also employed if it is a good situation for him and for us too.
I think one of the strongest points of this community style model is that it's personalized for everybody, every person that comes in. And the program is not the same. Right. It's not the same for everyone that comes here because everyone comes here with a different set of problems, a different set of experiences in life, and a different set of talents and difficulties. So it's important to have the time to get to know the person and to get to know what they need and what can help them the best to succeed afterwards.
So let's talk about that a little bit, Mark. What was your experience like kind of through the first part, and then as you're getting into, like, what is it that made it so different? I get the sense that you've really healed and recovered in a very deep way.
Yeah, I think one of the simplest aspects is just the time involved. I think a lot of people want to heal right away, and I think they search for short-term cures. And I think that just touches the surface. And I think that everyone has their own reasons, their own motivations for why they began using drugs and why they continued using drugs. And those are a part of our characters, or a part of our personalities. So until you get down into that, until you take the time and have the patience to start changing yourself on that level, I think you never get past that problem. So that's the thing that changed for me, is that there wasn't this rush. It wasn't this 4-week deadline that after 4 weeks I was going to be all better, and I was expected to go back to work and back to school and back to the family and be perfect again. And that was never my experience. And I think here they kept telling me, look, you just have to relax and just live and experience it, and be patient, listen, and basically just receive from other people. That was the hugest difference, is the patience.
Yeah, I think that there is also now the new science of neuroimagining can show us that there is a biomedical reason for that. I
Yes.
mean, the reward system, which is strongly involved into the addiction problem, require times in order to go back to functioning, let's say, normally or without substances that adjust it to return back to functioning with its normal substances production.
Right. I mean, for the first year and a half. I mean, after years and years and years of bombarding your brain with these chemicals, it takes a long time to heal.
Yeah.
And
I
you
think it's
don't
more than
feel
1 year.
normal. You don't even start feeling normal until after about a year and a half.
Right.
And that period is extremely difficult, and you need a lot of support during that, because you have times of depression, times of anxiety that you just can't deal with on your own. So having the community,
you don't master your emotional area,
right?
Because biochemically you can't do it, because the neurotransmitter don't work appropriately. They are totally disrupted by addiction, and they require time to go back to their normal function. And so this is necessary.
One thing that I interviewed Dr. Gabor Mate last year, and he was talking about self-regulation is something that develops when you're in the company of people who are self-regulated. And
right.
So that seems to be something that would be really integral in your community model, is that as people recover and they are self-regulated, then they provide a container.
No, yeah. That's exactly what we do here. I mean, we're a community of people that are dealing with and have dealt with all the same problems. Mm-hmm. And everyone that's been here for more time, that's further along, has had more experience, is a model and serves as an inspiration for everyone else that's just coming in. Right. So in those moments when you don't really have faith in what you're doing and you're having trouble, at least you have someone there that's been through the same thing, and you see that they've gone through it.
So do you have therapists that help people with, some kind of abuse in their past, or? Yeah,
there is a percentage of people that also, apart from the, let's say, educational approach that we use to recovery from addiction, require also an additional support from some psychotherapist or psychologist, or also people that require for a period of medication, psychopharmaceutical, because they have some mental issue that was previous the problem of addiction or was developed after the addiction problem. And if you consider that 35% of the girls have been abused in their childhood, right. This is one of the major risk factors for developing addiction, and actually is something that requires to be addressed professionally. Mm-hmm. Because girls otherwise want to recover from this problem, and they will develop addiction, they will relapse if we don't work in this part of the problem. Also, a percentage of male admit that they have had this problem, but we think that there is, it is underestimated because they have more difficulty in opening up about this issue.
Right.
Girls actually speak about this problem after 1 year, a couple of years. Mm-hmm. They have been here, not immediately.
Right. So can you go into shame and stigma a bit, Monica, and just talk about how you work with that as people are coming into the program and through the program, the role of it in addiction?
Well, I think that supporting people in understanding their capacity and their talent, and showing them directly that they concretely can do and achieve results, give them self-confidence and self-esteem that alone can support and avoid shame, because people, of course, feel that they made mistakes, but they also are aware that they can overcome the mistakes and live a good life if they commit to improve their capacity and to spend actually what they have inside, not being superficial, but trying to find out what they can do actually. And regarding stigma, the problem in Italy is not so dramatic. I would say that there is since 1978, when Vincenzo Muccioli, our founder, founded the community, he also advocated for this. I mean, he very soon was invited in many TV programs. He became very well known all over Italy, and he kept on saying that people with problem of addiction were people that had a problem, but that can and also it was a duty of society to give them the opportunity to recover and to go back to society as positive and contributing member of it. So I think that since then in Italy, this kind of culture helped to decrease very, very strongly the stigma. I think that to change to address the problem of stigma, it is necessary a cultural change.
Right.
It is necessary to discover, for example, in US, people believe that drug addiction can't be eliminated, can't be resolved. It's a problem that always chronically relapse and relapse and relapse, because they do not have programs that really offer people the opportunity to recover.
Right.
For a radical recovery, can we say that?
Yes. Yeah.
So this increase the stigma, because you say, okay, you are an addict and nothing can be done to support you. We just can only reduce the harm that you do to yourself and to society, and try to chronicize your situation. But it is not a good thing. In this condition, you will be always a citizen of be serious, not a citizen in all the aspect of being a citizen. So it is important to give the opportunity for a total and integral recovery.
Right.
To really be able to say, okay, I'm not a former addict. I am a person. I had my problems, but I solved them. And now I'm back and I'm a person able to face life with its difficulties and its problem, but with my personality developed and open and without any dependency any longer.
Right, right. And the very structure of your program, where people are contributing through the work and through mentoring other people, would also help with that process of not feeling so helpless. And yeah.
Exactly.
So Mark, can you talk a little bit about what that was like for you? You'd been through a lot of recovery programs in the US and had failed.
Right.
And then you come here, and what was that like in terms of, a lot of times people have so much negative self-talk. There's so much self-judgment. Was that something that was going on for you when you first got there?
Oh yeah, for myself, absolutely. I mean, all the experience that I had for the in my life right before I came here taught me that I didn't have it together, that I wasn't capable of living a life, and that's a belief I came in with. That at this point I was an addict and I was going to be an addict for the rest of my life. And that's also what people were telling me. So when I got here, all of the self-confidence that I should have developed growing up wasn't there. And, you know, when there was no longer the drugs to kind of fuel that artificial sense of self-confidence, I was left with nothing. And I think the most important thing for me was that I regained that self-esteem and that self-confidence through what I was doing every day. Because the way we live here is based on daily life in a community, in a small town. So we have the same daily rhythms. We go to work, you know, 8 hours a day, just like a normal person does. So when we see that we succeed in the little things at first, and when we gain more and more responsibility, and we see that we can succeed also in those things, and then when we take on a new person after 1 year, and we start trying to transmit everything that we learned, and we learn how to be an example for another person who has the same problems that we have and is going through the same things that we've already gone through. I mean, that's huge in rebuilding that confidence. And I think it's important because it's something that comes through hard work and through experience and time. It's not something that people tell you, oh, you're great, you're a good person, you're capable. It's something that you feel, you know, with, you know, your own sweat and your own time.
Right. And it takes time. Like, we keep coming back to that. It takes time for this process to happen.
That's hard to accept for both the people that come here, and I think it's for the American mindset, the American mentality. It's very hard to accept that you're going to have to invest a lot of time. I mean, pretty much the only thing that we do that requires 4 years is either, you know, school or prison. You know, and I think accepting that you have to dedicate another portion of your life into getting better is not easy to accept, but it's the right thing to accept. I mean, it's the only thing that you can do. I mean, it's rebuilding your life.
And your nervous system, your brain, all of it. Yeah. So what's that like for families? What was it like for your family?
Well, my family was pretty much, I mean, I come from a normal family. So in the sense that it wasn't a broken family, you know, we were a middle class family. So I think a lot of this seemed to come out of the blue. You know, my family had a lot of trouble accepting why I was doing what I was doing. And so I think the process for them has also been a process of acceptance. I think they have felt like they had lost a son. They tried and tried and tried through the years, trying to figure out new ways to help me. But they were at the point of giving up, and I had already given up a long time before. So this was kind of the last, you know, our last hope, both for them and for me. And the process for them, it's just been unbelievable. I mean, when they saw me for the first time after I'd been here for a year. They didn't recognize me. They thought I was just I was another Italian. I walked by speaking Italian, and they physically I was totally different. I mean, they saw both a new person and the old Mark that they knew while I was growing up. I mean, it was a really beautiful thing.
So I think I read somewhere that there's not a lot of contact the first year. Is that the usual, that the families aren't really involved until after you've been there for a while?
Well, with us, the contact is limited through letters. And the reason why we do that is because we need to be focusing on ourselves. And it's it would be easy to stay here while still living, you know, emotionally and mentally outside of here, thinking constantly about the family. And when we do that, we ignore ourselves and what we need. And before we can start solving the problems of our family and our friends and our loved ones, we have to solve our own problems.
Right.
And in the meantime, you know, the families here go through their own program. There's associations in Italy where they work with the family members because the family members also have a huge set of problems coming from the addiction of their family member. So they do their own separate parallel programs, and then towards at the end of the first year, we have the first visit where we start rebuilding those connections again.
Actually, in Italy, we have all over the Italian territory around 40 organizations that are managed by former residents or parents of people that have been here and they continue working there, are mainly on a voluntary basis. These organizations have three main tasks. And the first one is to help support families where there is a relative with problem of addiction, to find their way towards community, to help the family and to support possible difficulties in order to get the person admitted into the community. While the person is in the community, the family continue to attend meetings within the organization in order to start a process of change. Also, the family required to understand something more. For example, to overcome the sense of guilt they have, or they accuse the son or the daughter they committed mistakes, and so this situation has to be faced and solved. So in this period, they continue to attend meetings in the organization and support from outside the recovery process of their relative. Then at the end, they also help the resident that leave the community to reintegrate into society. They help them to find a job, to find a flat, if necessary, of course. Normally, people leave the community when they have all things on place: a house, a job, a good situation around. Of course, in US, we do not have this kind of organization, and so sometimes mothers and fathers meet together and talk.
Like they have kind of their underground network.
Okay.
My mom helps people that are interested in coming here, you know, with the visa process.
Actually, it's the natural way in which also the organization in Italy were created, because mothers together, your mother will help another mother, and then this mother will help the other. So
Right.
my mother, Mike is a guy that lived the community 4 years ago.
Yeah, right before I came.
Yeah.
His mother helped me come here.
And then this mother keep on helping other mothers and try to do what she can.
Right. Yeah, there are some family support programs. I was involved in one with the Killaby Center, and now we've transferred that over to another big organization that helps. But definitely the peer support and just being understood and understanding addiction more and kind of boundaries and all of how that works is really important. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody that's struggling with recovery? And maybe I'll have both of you answer that separately. Maybe they're still in an addiction process of some kind, or maybe they've gone through rehab and they just have a sense it's not going to be enough. What would a couple of pieces of advice be for people?
The advice I would give is that you really have to be willing to make the right kind of investment in the rest of your life. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be quick. And you're going to need the help of other people. I think very few people, if any, escape from life alone by themselves.
Right.
You really need to learn how to ask for help from other people, and you need to learn how to be honest. I think a lot of addicts have trouble being honest with other people and with themselves.
Mainly when themselves.
Right. So during this process, you mentioned that you'd given up already before you got there. So that's clearly not the case anymore.
No. I mean, I'd given up on a lot of hope, on a lot of things. But I've gotten to know myself again. I've kind of rediscovered, the natural talents that I thought I had lost. I thought I was burned out. I thought I had kind of damaged my brain up to the point where I didn't even know myself anymore. But I've gotten to realize that I'm still here, and that I'm a lot stronger for all the things that I've gone through, and all that. I feel like I've gotten a lot of wisdom. I think that people that get out of addiction can be some of the strongest people in our culture because they have gone through hell. And I think that you can gain a lot of wisdom if you're able to get through it.
So someone doesn't necessarily have to feel a lot of hope to come into a program like this, but they have to have some kind of inspiration based on other people having gotten through it, maybe, or there must have been some seed of something that got you there, even though you said you had given up.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Part of it's just inertia because you just keep going. And then when you start seeing, oh yeah, well, this guy got out of an even worse situation than I had. This guy, I mean, I met people that I couldn't even imagine being drug addicts, having been on the street. A lot of people, when they come here, one of the first things they ask is where all the drug addicts are, because they see healthy people that are polite, that are busy, that are capable. And I think when you come here, the initial impression is that you see people that are succeeding in what they're doing. And that's when you don't have hope in yourself. At least you can get hope from seeing what other people have done.
This is fundamental. This is actually the reason why all the people are together in the same facility, because many communities in Italy, but also abroad, have different facility for different stage of the program. A place where only newcomers are for 3 months or so, and then another group of people that are in the intermediate period, and then another situation. But in this way, all newcomers are together, and they do not have an insight of what will happen in the future. We have a room in which there is an elder person that is ready to leave the community, and then other people that have been here for 3 years or 2 years and a half, and then another person that have been here for a couple of years, and then another that had been for 1 year, and then a newcomer. So all this interaction between different situations helps both the newcomer to identify his future and say, okay, if he succeeded, maybe I can succeed too. But also the elder one still keep in mind what they were, what they come from, and what it has been their path to reach the position in which they are now, what they did, how hard it was and how difficult it was, but how important it is to remember what they have gone through in order to be able to become stronger and stronger. Not to underestimate any difficulty and any choice. Any choice is important. It has to be done honestly and correctly, and always keeping in mind the problem.
So it's important to keep perspective.
And so what would your advice be to somebody, Monica, if somebody is same situation, maybe still addicted to something or wanting to go deeper in recovery? What would be the most important things you would say to them?
I would say that probably in that moment he feels he wants just stop using drugs because he thinks that this is the main issue, but this is not the main issue. It is only a symptom of something that he has inside and that make him suffering. So he needs to be brave and try to face life without this false medication that drugs are, and try to look into his soul and see everything that can be there, and be willing to change what needs to be changed, and be willing to keep what is worth keeping, and to bear what can't be changed. The serenity prayer, it's something that you need in your life. Everyone needs to know that there are things that are difficult, but are there, and you have to face with them, to take it with them. Not everything can be perfect. This is important to know. But I think that the advice I would give, be willing to change yourself. In this way, you will change your life. Right. But you can't change your life without changing yourself.
I'd like to give people an idea of how they would get a hold of you. So, number one, do you basically accept everybody, or do you have a waiting list for people? How does that work?
We accept all those that are really determined to change. This is the only requirement that we have. And then we can accept younger people, older people, people with substance abusers, or only one substance. We do not focus on this part, but on the person itself, and on his willing to start a process of change. This is the requirement. And we welcome, I would say, 30, 35 people per month. 30 people, between 30 and 40 people. 350 people per year. And more or less the same amount of people leave the community.
Right. They're graduating out. Yeah. Do you have a lot of people that leave before they've finished their 3 years?
No, the percentage is very, very low. I think that we have a retention in treatment of 98% in the first year, and then 90% in the second, and so forth.
Wow. So how would people get a hold of you? Can you just say your website name, or would they phone you?
Yeah, so San Patrignano, you find, how do you say, the first result on Google. The first result on Google.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And
there is a website in English also.
Right.
And we welcome people from all over the world, as you have seen with Mark.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And so there would be help to get visas and that kind of thing if people needed help with that.
This could be a problem. I mean, we welcome people from Europe without any difficulty, but people that come from extra-European countries, it can be sometimes more difficult.
Right.
In some occasions, they have less problem. In other situations, they can't obtain their visa, and so this is a problem, actually.
Right.
What we do also, for this reason, because we can't welcome people from all over the world to San Patrignano, we offer the opportunity to those who want to learn and know more about our model to come and stay with us 1 week. It is called International Workshop. You can find on our website more information. It is a 1 week training both with lectures and theoretical work, and also the practical work with experiential learning labs within the workshop with our people. I mean, a group of people come here and stay 1 week. In the morning, they have lectures about our method by expert of our staff.
Mhm.
And then in the afternoon, they stay in the workshop with
In the community.
with our people,
Yes.
like they were newcomer with their tutor. So
Mhm.
they spend 1 week living a life within the community as they were newcomer. In this way, we helped people opening centers similar to San Patrignano in some part of the world.
Mhm.
And right now, this morning, I toured with a lady that had been here to have a workshop 1 year ago and came with her daughter. They want to open a center in California, similar to San Patrignano.
Lovely.
So they are in the process of rebuilding their property because it was destroyed by the fire
Oh,
1 year ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, 85% of their property was destroyed. The buildings, all the trees and everything.
Mhm.
They were ready to open, but now they have
Oh,
to restart again.
right.
But anyway, there are centers in Norway, in Sweden, in Vancouver,
Scotland.
in Brazil, in Scotland.
Very exciting to see this model spread.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time and to learn more about this. This is wonderful work.
Ah, thank you, Lynn.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome. And all the best.
All the
Thank
best
you.
to you and for your Radical Summit in September.
Well, thank you very much. All right. Go to kilabecenter.com, Radical Recovery Summit, for access to the interviews. You can watch them free online for 48 hours after they air, or you could purchase an all-access pass. kilabecenter.com.